Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm showing you how I draw hair tied up in a bun. I'm using a 2H, HB, 3B and 6B pencil, a blending stump. If you don't have one of these, you can use a cotton bud, a tissue or just smudge it with your finger. A vinyl eraser which I've cut into pieces to give nice sharp edges which will be ideal for pulling up highlights on strands of hair. I'm also using a stick eraser. This one is the Tombow Mono eraser, but if you don't have one of these, your vinyl eraser will be just fine. So let's begin. Sketch the outline using a 2H pencil. Use the side of the pencil to avoid creating indents in the paper. Draw in the sections of the hair in line with the reference photo that you're using. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the more work you put in now, the easier it'll be when you come to shading. Add the initial layer of shade using your 2H pencil. This will give you a light shade covering most of the drawing except the brightest highlights. This is just a base layer to identify the main highlights and get rid of the white for the rest of your drawing. Next, start to add the midtones using your HB. Try not to use up and down or zigzag lines when you're shading the hair. It's easy to fall into doing this when you're covering larger areas, but it will make a real difference to your drawing if you shade in one direction only. Moving on then to your 3B pencil, this will bring in the darkest shadows. And if you followed your reference photo when you were drawing the segments of hair at the start, you will now clearly be able to identify where the darkest shadows for each segment should be. Blending between layers is so important. This is what really helps to get a 3D effect in your drawing. If you don't have a blending stump, improvise, but don't leave out this step because it really makes such a difference. Again, try and blend in the one direction. If you start to do circular movements or going up and down or in a zigzag motion, this will really ruin the texture that you're trying to create. Next, move on to your 6B pencil to put in the really dark shadows, but remember you need to preserve all the midtones. Now that the shadows are in, it's time to pull up the highlights. I'm using a vinyl eraser and the Tombow Mono Zero eraser to do this. Now it's time for some finishing touches. At this point, I like to step back and assess my drawing and see what slight changes I can make to really make my drawing pop. This usually involves redoing some highlights to really pull up the brightness and create more contrast, and also going back in with the 6B pencil to put in some really dark shading. Add some flyaway hairs to make your drawing look more realistic. And that's it. If you feel like you've got some value from this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos.